So now let's talk about why we do the things that we do. Would you agree that consistency is a behavior? Yeah. That means it's an action, it's a decision. So now let me tell you why some people can do the right behaviors and why some people can't, in case you didn't know. Would you agree that awareness is important? Yeah. If we know why we get sick, are we more likely to avoid it? Yeah. Yes. If we don't know why, are we more likely to repeat it? Yes. So let's talk about why we do the things that we do or why we don't do the things that we should do. So look, the first thing that comes into play when it comes to a successful individual versus an unsuccessful one is their programming. What is programming? Programming, in essence, is the repeated thoughts that you have in your mind all the time. Now, many of these thoughts are formed from the subconscious, but at some point we have to take responsibility and be conscious about it. But why do thoughts matter so much? Because your repeated thoughts create your beliefs. Your beliefs create the reality of your life. There's a very famous doctor named Dr. Bruce Lipton. If you don't know who he is, I recommend you do some research on him. But he was a medical doctor. He was actually a professor as well that was teaching other medical doctors. And at some point, he started to look more into quantum physics. He started to learn more about the manifestation, how the mind works. And he realized that a lot of the things they were teaching in medicine was actually wrong based on what he was learning. So he went and started to teach this. And he's very well known, and you got to look into it. But he says something. He says when you change your consciousness, the world around you will change. What is your consciousness? It's your beliefs. Why does that happen? Here's why. Things happen, yes or no? Yes. But do things that happen always produce the same results? Meaning, if somebody gets punched in the face, they may react angrily and punch that person back. But does everyone that got punched in the face react that way? No. So a stimulus, an external event, does not dictate the reaction that comes with it. Yes or no? Yes. What dictates the reaction? The person that it happens to. What makes the difference between one reaction versus another? It's the belief system that the people have. So let me give you a very easy example. My hair? Oh, thank you for watching for my hair. It's okay. One person gets rejected. Yes? The belief system becomes, oh my God, what I'm doing is bad. Oh my God, I'm not good enough. No one's going to like me. That becomes the belief system. So what are the feelings and emotions? Anxiety, sadness, frustration, fear. Yes or no? Yes. What is the behavior of that person? Well, what happens when we get fearful? We either fight or we flight. So either that person runs away and quits, or they get offensive with the other person and they react in a negative way and they ruin that relationship. Yes or no? Yes. And that becomes the result, which is either they lose that relationship or they lose that opportunity because they ran away from it. Another person gets rejected. Same stimulus, same external event. But this person believes that rejection is part of the game. They believe that people have a right to say no when you offer them something. They don't take it personally. They go, of course, I offered them something and they said no. Who cares? That's fine. It's their choice. What are the feelings that that person is going to have? Peace, acceptance, forgiveness maybe even. What are the behaviors that they could react with now? Understanding, empathy. They might even thank the person. Hey, thank you for your consideration. And what is the result of that? Now they have a respectful relationship. Now that person walks away going, wow, what a professional. Most people that I reject react very negatively. Yeah. Okay? So see, same event, two different belief systems, two completely different worlds. There's an amazing story of an individual who was an alcoholic. And they go talk to that person and they say, why are you an alcoholic? He says, well, my father was an alcoholic. So I had to become one because that was my example. That was the role model that I had. Later on, they found out that that same person had a twin brother. His twin brother was not an alcoholic. His twin brother was a very successful person. Had a great relationship with his wife, never even drank alcohol. So they went and interviewed that person. They said, hey, your brother grew up with the same father. He became an alcoholic. How come you didn't? He said, Well, look at my father. What do you expect? I saw how much he hurt people. I saw how much he hurt me. And I made a decision, I'll never touch alcohol because I don't want to hurt people the same way. You see, the exact same stimulus, twin brothers that had the same genetics. One of them had a belief system that if that's who my father is, that's who I will be. The other one had a belief system of if that's who my father is, that's who I never will be. Do you understand now? Yes. So that's what this quote means that says, change your consciousness and your world will change. Because as soon as you change your belief systems, you change the feelings and emotions that you feel by the different events that happen. When you change the feelings and emotions, you change the behaviors. You go, well, Nima, why would our feelings towards something change our behavior towards it? It's because we are human. And as much as we want to overcome our feelings, we can't. And yes, we can use willpower. Some days you don't feel like doing something, you do it anyways. And we're going to talk about how some people do that. But that's using willpower. Is our willpower infinite or finite? It's finite, right? There's a limited amount of willpower. There's only so much that you have. One of the reasons why Steve Jobs wore the same outfit every single day was because he didn't want to use willpower to choose his outfit. That's actually a true story. So willpower is limited. So knowing that willpower is limited, then you can only stay consistent with the habit for so long by using willpower. That's why there's a lot of people that use willpower and wake up early for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Eventually by the 10th day, they hit the snooze button, don't they? Because their willpower can only take them so far. But if you can change your belief systems, it will change your attitudes. If you change your attitudes, it means you change your perspective on things. Meaning, if you believe there's no point in waking up early, why would you wake up early? Yes or no?
Yes.
Look, if I told you right now to wake up at 4:30 a.m. tomorrow, just cause, would you?
No.
Probably not. If I told you if you wake up at 4:30 a.m. for the next 3 years, I'll pay you $1 million, would you?
Yes.
Oh, what changed? What just changed, guys? Same 4:30 a.m. Now I gave you a reason to wake up though at 4:30 a.m. so your attitude about waking up changed. Now every night you go to bed, you imagine what you're going to do with that $1 million in 3 years. Now you wake up at 4:25 a.m. because you're like, I don't want to risk it. What if I miss my alarm? Yes or no?
Yes.
So you see what just changed? The perspective, the consciousness changed, and the world changed for you. All of a sudden, you went from someone who's like, why the hell would I ever wake up at 4:30 a.m. to being like, why the hell would I not? Because the perspective changed and your feeling changed. Now you felt excited to wake up at 4:30. Yes or no?
Yes.
If I told you wake up at 4:30 tomorrow so you can go work at Starbucks, how many of you are pumped up for it? Hopefully none of you. But if I told you wake up at 4:30 a.m. tomorrow and I'll pay you $5,000, how many of you are pumped up for it? You won't even sleep tonight. You're like, yeah, let's do it. Okay. So you see, it's the feeling that actually dictates the behavior, not that belief or perspective. But the belief changes the perspective, which changes the feelings. That's why they say when you feel good, you do good. So then the question becomes, how do we change our feelings towards different behaviors so we can maintain those behaviors consistently without using our willpower? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's where your belief system comes. And beliefs are the most important things. People that believe going to the gym is a great habit. People that believe that going to the gym makes them happier. People that believe that going to the gym will make them live longer, do what? Go to the gym. People who believe going to the gym is stupid. It's for gym rats. What's the point? Why do I want a six-pack anyways? What do? Avoid going to the gym. Yes or no?
Yes.
If you believe getting licensed in this business will help you reach a certain level of financial freedom, will help you reach certain goals, how much more motivation do you have to study the license? A lot. But if you believe, I'll never be successful anyways, I can never be like him or like her, then what's the point of getting a license? So you can just prove yourself right? So then you don't have as much motivation. So beliefs are everything. Then the question becomes, how do we change our beliefs? You have to change your programming. What did Buddha say? He said, what you think about, you eventually become. This is exactly what Buddha was talking about. He was a pretty wise man. He kind of knew what he was talking about. Because your a thought that is repeated over and over and over again eventually becomes a belief. How do those thoughts get formed in our mind? Through our associations. If you hang around 5 people every single day that go to the gym, that eat healthy, what do you think is going to happen to you eventually? You know why? Because every time you go to eat something unhealthy, you know what they're going to say? Dude, you're going to eat that? Do you know what it's made of? You know those annoying people? Do you know what it's made of? Yes, I want it. Okay? But when you hang around them enough, you eventually go, okay, maybe I shouldn't eat this. So this is the major reason why we do the things that we do or why we don't do the things that we do. It's because of our belief system. And in order to change our belief system, we have to change our association and thoughts. You know why these meetings are so important? Because every time you come here, you are reminded about certain thoughts and certain lessons that eventually will become beliefs. Yes or no?
Yes.
This is what we call brainwashing. I am right now washing your brain. Okay? If anyone is sitting here going like, is this brainwashing? This is exactly brainwashing. Welcome. And our brains need washing. Because guess what our brains are exposed to all the time? The negative news. Negative people who keep telling us there's nothing's possible, everything's going to hell, everything's going to end. Yes or no? Yes. To fearful. Our brains, if you leave them unattended, are exposed to negativity all the time. Unfortunately, the environment is filled with negativity. So that's why I listen to audiobooks, because audiobooks wash my brain. That's why I listen to positive podcasts, because they wash my brain. That's why I associate with positive people, because they wash my brain. That's why I come to meetings like this and I conduct meetings like this, because as I teach you, I am also washing my brain. By the way, this is why every religion has a weekly ceremony where people get together and are repeated the same lessons over and over again. Because repetition is not just the mother of learning, but it's the mother of action. If you keep getting repeated the same lessons, eventually you will apply those lessons. Is that fair? Yeah. So that's why even some of you have already heard this. I'm saying it again in detail because you need to be reminded of it in order to apply it. Are you with me so far? Yes. Okay, let's continue. How do we create change? Can we change our lives without changing ourselves? No. Can you change your health if you don't change something in your behavior related to health? Okay, so let me tell you how change really happens. The first step to change is acceptance. If you don't accept you're unhealthy, will you ever do things to become healthy? So somebody who says, I'm big boned, why would they go to the gym? Can you reduce the I don't even know, is the velocity of your bone? I don't know. The density of your bone? Thank you, mister. This is what going to school does for you. Can you, wonderful. Can you reduce the density of your bones by working out? So if you're big bone, why would you go to the gym? So most people don't change because they haven't accepted that they need to change. Now you go, why don't people accept it? Because they're not willing to take responsibility for their lives. Let me tell you something. You cannot be a victim of your life and also be a hero of it. You can either be a victim of your life or a hero of your life. What is the difference? The victim has no control over their results and circumstances. It's somebody else's fault. The hero has full control over their circumstances and results. Yes, many things happen to us that is out of our control, but can we control our reaction to it? Yes. You guys know why I love the story of Batman and Joker? And my favorite, if I was going to go my favorite superheroes or whatever you want to call them, it's the story of Batman and Joker. Do you know why? Because they're two people that had the same childhood event happen. They both lost their parents. I mean, in the new Joker movie, turns out that they're actually stepbrothers. So they both came from an abusive relationship. Both of them lost their parents. If I said that wrong, I'm sorry, okay? Sue me after. Okay? Get the lesson because you're like, oh, that's wrong. I don't care. The point is, though, they both came from a very negative childhood. One of them lost their parents, the other one had an abusive parent. Yes or no? Yes. One of them decided to destroy the world because of it. The other one decided to save the world because of it. So one of them was a victim to their result where they say, it's not fair that I got beat up, so I'm going to go create that unfairness for others. The other one said, it's not fair that I lost my parents, but I'm going to go and be a hero to another kid. So if they're getting mugged, I can save them so they don't lose their parents. Yes or no? Yes. So the hero decides to take responsibility for their life. The victim decides to give responsibility away by blaming someone else. One of the keys to being happy is to feel you're in control. The more you feel you're in control of your life, the more happy you will be. Why? Because if you feel like you can do something about it, you have something called hope. And hope is the most important thing if you want to be happy. Let me ask you a question. If I take someone and put them in a prison, and I tell them there's no way they can ever get out, how will they feel? Depressed, because they're hopeless. But if I put that same person in a prison and I say there's a key somewhere in this prison, and if you find it, you can get out. If you don't, you're going to rot here for the rest of your life. How is that person going to feel? Hopeful. And that hope will make them feel excited and feel like they have a purpose for the rest of their life. Whether they find that key or not, every day they wake up with one mission, to find the key. And that's a much better life to live than the person who sits there assuming that there's no way out, so what's the point of trying anyways? So whenever I have someone that goes, Nima, what if I try and I don't succeed? It's better to try for your whole life and have hope that something will change than to never try and settle for failure and settle for a crappy life. So once you learn to take responsibility, you can accept your situations. Acceptance doesn't mean that you settle for it. Acceptance means that you accept that you're here. So if you're in a bad financial position and you try to avoid it, you try to run away from it, will that ever solve it? No. But if you accept that, hey, I'm in a bad financial situation, now you have power to do something about it. Here's the next step though. You got to forgive. Can you help someone that you hate? No. So let's say you're in a bad financial situation. You've taken responsibility that you're the reason you got here. Maybe you made the wrong career choice. Maybe you made the wrong financial choices. Whatever. Yes or no? Yes. Okay. If you hate yourself for making those mistakes, will you ever do anything to help yourself? No. So the first step is to forgive. You have to forgive yourself for the mistakes that you made that led you here. Once you forgive, you can let go of the victim story that you're carrying with yourself. And then you let go of the feelings that accompany it. If you feel like you're not good enough, can you ever pursue something that requires you to be better? So you got to let go of those negative feelings of pain, of discouragement, of not being good enough, of frustration, in order to actually have what you want. Then you take the responsibility to do something about it, and then you develop an empowering story and lesson, and then you change. Here's the biggest thing that you need to remember. We are storytellers. Our beliefs are made of the stories that we put around the things that happen to us. Meaning, one person gets into a relationship with someone and gets hurt by that person. And the story that they say is that I'm not a lovable person, I'll never find love. And then for the rest of their life, what do they have? Loneliness. Another person gets into a bad relationship and they get hurt and they say, I chose the wrong person to get into a relationship with. I should have been better at identifying the qualities that I like and I don't like. I'm so grateful for this experience because it taught me something I didn't know, and then they go and form a new relationship. Again, same event, what's the difference? The story that they put around it. What the story does is it changes the feelings. One of the biggest things that I learned that helped me go to the next level was I learned to remove the event from the story that I gave it. So a lot of things happened to me just like they've happened to you. But there was also a story that I put around it. And most of my stories were victim stories. So I got bullied as a kid, just like many people do, yes or no? It wasn't like aggressive bullying, like what happened, it's in Canada, so doesn't really get that. There's no like punching, nothing like that. It's just people making fun of you, okay? But here's the thing, it's in some world, that's nothing, right? But here's the reality of it. Back then, I had a victim story around it. I'm getting bullied because of this, because of that. And I had this chip on my shoulder where I thought my motivation's coming from. In reality, it was where all my negative feelings were coming from. And it wasn't giving me power, it was draining my power. So one day I looked back and I said, you know, maybe I was getting bullied because I was really insecure as a kid and I was giving negative energy to other kids. Maybe it's not that I'm a bad person. Maybe it was just I was in a bad state of mind. Maybe I wasn't treating them so well, so they weren't treating me so well because I was a pretty aggressive kid. And as soon as I changed that story, I was able to take responsibility for it. And then when I think back to that event, the pain isn't there anymore. You know, when you think back to your past and there's pain, it's because you have a story associated with it that creates pain. If you change the story, the emotion goes away. Does that make sense? Yes. So then once I became conscious of it, because back then I was a kid, I wasn't conscious of it, just like many of us weren't. Now that I'm conscious of it, when an event happens, I immediately choose a story that empowers me and that gives me an ability to go to the next level. So when a team member of mine quits, the story isn't, I'm not a good enough leader. The story isn't, my business isn't good enough. The story isn't, maybe I can never build a team because these people quit on me. The story is, I'm so grateful that this person was in business with me for as long as they were because they taught me certain lessons. They helped me in certain times. And now that they've moved on, I can take this learning experience to find my next team member. Which story is more powerful? The first one or the second one? Which one gives me more motivation to do the next thing? What you focus on determines your feelings. Your feelings determines your behavior. Always remember that. Are we okay so far?
Yes.
Here are two areas that we need to stay consistent in. Because when we're talking about consistency, it's actually not just your behavior. You need to be consistent, yes, in your behaviors and action, but also you need to be consistent in the state of mind that you carry with yourself. Let me explain to you why this is important. Can you go to the gym but have terrible workouts? Yes or no? Is that possible?
Yes.
Okay, if you have terrible workouts, will you ever get great results?
No.
So going to the gym is not enough. You need to go to the gym and work out effectively in order to get the effective results that accompany it.
Yes,
Yes. Now, the days that you go to the gym and have a bad workout, what is your state of mind on those days? Khaled, you work out a lot. You've ever had a bad workout?
Yes.
Okay, on those days that you go to the gym and don't have a good workout, what is your state of mind? Distracted. What else?
Lazy.
Okay, thank you, Basil. I asked Khaled, but thank you for shitting on him for him. I appreciate it. But Basil works out a lot, so you're talking from your own experience. Fair enough. So lazy or tired, okay. What else? Low energy, right? Depleted. Okay, that's the state that creates a bad workout. You've also had a lot of great workouts. That's why you have a great body. What is your state of mind when you have a great workout? Focused? Enthusiastic? Aren't you excited about working out? Okay. Do you have a high level of desire because you're motivated that day?
Yes.
Maybe you're thinking about how your biceps gonna look on the beach or whatever. Am I wrong?
No.
Okay. What else? There's one more. You have belief that your workout is gonna result into something. Yes or no?
Yes.
So the state that you're in influences the level and the effectiveness of your behavior, which will determine the results you can get from it. If you come to this meeting today and you're in a state of low energy because maybe you're tired, maybe you're down because you had some bad things happen today, maybe you're frustrated with your business, maybe you're sitting here and going, oh, what's the point of this? I've heard this before. How much value will you take from the meeting? Probably not much because you're not going to listen as well. What are the chances you're going to take action on what you're learning? Pretty low, maybe not zero, but pretty low. But what if you came into this with a state of mind of excitement? Where you're like, man, I'm so pumped up to learn today. Maybe you have a belief of, even though I'm having a hard time in my business, I'm going to learn some stuff that's going to make me have some good times in my business. Yes. My energy is a little low, but by going here today, my energy is going to be higher. Yes or no?
Yes.
So your state of mind is also something you need to be consistent in. Because if you just have consistent behavior, but you just go through the motions, you will not have the results that you're looking for. Because there's people that I know, again, that go to the gym every day, but they're not getting much results because they're not having good workouts. They don't have good form. They're not pushing it as hard as they should. They're not doing that extra rep. They're not working out the muscle enough until it hurts. Yes or no? Yes. And then they go, I've been going to the gym for a year and nothing's changed. Well, because you're not effective in that behavior. So these are the two areas we need to stay consistent in. Our behaviors and actions and our state of mind. Here's the secret. If your state of mind is always up, your behavior will always be consistent. And the state of mind that is required to create an extraordinarily successful life is high level of desire, high level of enthusiasm, high level of focus, and a high level of belief and faith. When we talk about the test of failure, the test of distraction, and the test of complacency, what is being tested is these states of mind. When you're going through failure, your belief is being tested. If you keep getting no's, what do you start thinking? Am I ever going to get a yes? Am I good enough for this business? Maybe it's not for me. Yes or no? These are the thoughts that usually accompany that failure. That reduces what? Your belief in your ability to succeed. If you don't have as much belief that you can do it, how much desire are you going to have? Nothing. Not much. Because what's the point of desiring something that's never going to be there for you? And what's your enthusiasm going to be like? Very low, non-existent. And what are you going to start focusing on? The negativity. Yes or no? Yes. But hold on. Do those failures have to create that belief? Or is that a story that that person's telling themselves? Because let me tell you another story that could be told. Every failure gets me one step closer to my success. I'm in a business of numbers game. And I'm always going to get more no's to yeses. And every no is getting me closer to my yes. So if that's your belief, if that's the story, what's going to be the level of belief you have in your ability to succeed? Much higher. How much desire are you going to have? By the way, with that belief, every no you get should get you more what? Excited. So your enthusiasm is going up. And then you begin to do what? You focus on the positive. And the more positive feelings you have, the more positive actions you take, and like a self-fulfilling prophecy, it ends up becoming a lot of positive results. And then people go, how did he do it? Because you change the story of the same event that's happening to everyone. You know, one person goes, everyone's negative about WFG, and everyone's negative about this business, and everyone's negative about it. I don't want to do it. That's one story. The other story is everyone's negative about it, but why? And then they do their own research, which many of you have done. And then you go and talk to the people who actually know what they're talking about. And then you go, wow, this is actually really good. Now I need to go educate all these misinformed people who don't understand what this is about so they can benefit from it too. Same event, two different stories, two completely different results. One person now creates a purpose of why they need to do this. The other person creates a reason of why they should quit. One person becomes a leader in the community. The other person becomes just one of everyone else. Yes or no? Yes. One person gets hurt by rejection and goes, I need to avoid this, so I'm going to stop approaching. Another person gets hurt by rejection and goes, I don't want to be hurt by rejection, so let me keep going until it doesn't hurt anymore. Yes. Same event, two different stories, totally different life results. Yes or no? Yes. By the way, for any one of you who doubts if positive thinking and belief and this stuff really make a difference, there's something in medicine that is known as placebo. Yes? And it actually works, where they've given people sugar cubes that the patient didn't know were sugar cubes, and they said, this is going to cure your depression. And that person took it for 30 days and they were not depressed anymore. And they came back and they said, thank you so much for the medication. They said it was just sugar. This is actually a thing in medicine. It's a way of treatment. That's how powerful our belief and positive thinking is. That it cures even our body when you think of it. And by the way, this gentleman, like Joe Dispenza, has helped many people overcome cancer and many other harmful illnesses with no chemotherapy, none of that stuff, just by changing the way they think, changing the way they feel, reducing the stress, changing the lifestyle, and boom. And in a video that he did for Tony Robbins, he talks about how he witnesses the cell change as your thinking changes. The cells of your body change as your thinking changes. Imagine that. He talks about two twins that have different ways of thinking and different behaviors, and their genetics change over the years. Meaning as they are born, they have the exact same genetics. They're twins. They say 10 years later, we go look at them, they have completely different genetics. Because they've literally changed the cells of their body by changing their behaviors and changing the thought patterns. Do you believe that? Yes. And he talks about how there was a long time where medicine believed that you are the victim of your genetics. And he said after research, they realized your genetics actually don't even play that big of a part in your results. So this stuff is worth researching, because what's the point of having such a powerful thing called the mind but not knowing anything about how it works and using it to our benefit? Most people are being used by their mind. They never learn to actually use it. Imagine you have feet but you don't know how to use feet. What's the point of having it? Are we okay so far? Yes. Okay, so let's talk about easy ways to stay consistent. Here are some easy ways that you can stay consistent. Anyone here that has a hard time with staying consistent in different areas of your life, I'm going to give you some very easy ways on how to do it. Here's the thing. They're easy, but they're hard for you to do when it's hard to do. Does that make sense? All this stuff is easy until you have your emotions get in the way. But here's the first one. 3-step process to changing your state. This is Tony Robbins' 3 process to say. What did we say earlier? If you change the way you feel, you change the way you act. If you change your state, it's easy to do the things that you don't want to do. Yes or no? Yes. So there's a 3-step process that Tony Robbins has. And just so you know, this guy named Tony Robbins, for any of you that doubt it, is charging people $1 million per 8 hours of coaching. And has a 5-year waiting list. And he only lets certain people go on the waiting list. And those people are not broke people. They're not, kumbaya people, because they're going to pay $1 million for 8 hours. This gentleman is so well regarded that he gives presidents advice. He talks about how when Mother Teresa was sick, they asked him to go and be on her bedside. So he kind of knows what he's talking about. I'm just trying to get that across. Is that fair? Because some people go, oh, Tony Robbins. Well, yeah, he's pretty big. And he's big because he's helped people get different results. And one of the things that he teaches that he's so well known for is he helps teach people how to change the state of their mind. And his whole mentality is that if you can learn to control your state, you can control your destiny. He goes, if you know how to control your state, you can control your life. Because our life decisions come from the states that we have. So here's the first thing that he says. He says, in order to change your state, you need to change your physiology. What does that mean? That means changing your body posture, your movement, the breathing, and all those things that accompany it. And one of the examples that he always uses, he says, what does a depressed person look like? If you were to draw out somebody who's depressed, how would you draw their body language? They're slouched, they're down, they're looking down. Isn't this kind of pretty much it? By the way, if you do your body like this, it's actually harder to breathe. So he says just by fixing their posture, they can immediately change their state. Are they going to become the most happy person in the world if they change it? No. But they go from being extremely depressed like this because they can't even breathe to at least being able to breathe. Yes or no? Yes. So change your body posture. So one thing he talks about, he says, look, it's hard to sometimes change our thoughts. It's hard to change our feelings for sure, but it's very easy to change our posture. One of the things he teaches in his seminars is he goes, if you move your body as if you're winning, you will feel like a winner. So one of the things he teaches, and me and Story went to a 6-day seminar that was 14 hours each day. And he was basically going on, and I'm telling you, we didn't feel tired for 1 second. Do you know why? Because every 30 minutes, he would get us to stand up, put on some awesome music, and we would jump up and down. And what he said is that if you exude energy, you will have more of it. Your body will create things that you're using. If you use energy, you will have more of it. So that's why couch potatoes have a lot less energy than athletes do. You would think the couch potato who doesn't use energy would have the most energy. But they end up having none because your body won't create it if you don't use it. But the person who goes for a run in the morning and does all this stuff, their body constantly creates energy because they're constantly using energy. That's why after these sessions, I feel pumped up because I'm moving around so much. My heart rate goes up, my energy level goes up, so I'm actually more energetic. I have a hard time sleeping most of the time after these sessions. Does that make sense? Yes. So your physiology. So today, for example, I had a lot of anxiety. Kirash came over, I remember I was talking. I just, for whatever reason, asked me why I had it. I don't know, because I don't ask stupid questions from myself. You go, how is asking yourself why you're anxious stupid? Because if I ask, I'll find reasons. Don't we all have reasons to be anxious? Yes. If I ask you, why are you fearful? You can give a million reasons. Because the world is so unknown and there's so much happening that is out of our control, we have many things to be afraid of. So I don't ask myself, why am I anxious when I'm anxious? Because it only gives me more reason to be anxious. So when I'm anxious, you know what I do? I accept it. I go, oh, I'm anxious. Cool. Welcome to another day of anxiety. This is my life. That's literally how I feel. Because I'm like, oh, whatever. I've been anxious all my life. This is cool. But I remember I was feeling anxious. When you have enough anxiety, eventually that becomes sadness and maybe even depression. Yes or no? Yeah. So I was feeling a little bit down too. And then I went, I didn't ask why do I feel down. I said, do I want to stay in this state of mind? Sometimes you do. Right? The same reason I watch the Titanic sometimes, because I want to cry, right? Sometimes you want to be sad. So you're like, oh, you know what? I kind of feel like having a sad day today. It's raining. I want to be a part of the rain. Okay. That's fine. But for me, I didn't want to be sad. So I said, no, I don't. I said, okay, cool. What are some things that I could do that could potentially change my emotions? I said, one thing I could do is put on some music and I could jump up and down like a happy person. So I started doing that when Karash left because I didn't want to make him think I'm crazy. Right? So I put on some music and I started jumping up and down. And I went outside of my balcony, and some weird guy was working out and without a shirt. And I went back, and I'm like, I'm not gonna do this in the balcony. Okay, like that's a weird image for me. So then I went inside. I jumped up and down, and I felt a little bit better. I didn't feel great. I felt a little bit better. I'm like, okay, cool. That was good. Then I went and said, maybe I should go do an ice bath. And then every part of my brain was like, don't do an ice bath. Don't do it. And I grabbed the ice. And the thing that I've told myself is as soon as I fill the bathtub with water, I gotta use it and get in the ice bath. So then I start filling it up, and my brain was like, please don't let this happen. Please don't let that. And I'm like, it's filling up. You know what's next, buddy. There's no way out of this. So then I went in the ice bath, and I'm telling you, I came out of the ice bath and I felt like $1 million. Let's go. Right? So I chose to change my physiology, and I changed my feelings. And the first way I changed my physiology was by jumping up and down and smiling, even though I didn't feel like smiling. Right? And when I faked smiling, I got the feelings of someone who's happy. And then I went in the ice bath, and that immediately changed my physiology because I was freezing my butt off. And it's very hard to be depressed if you're freezing because you're thinking about survival. And by the way, at the same time, I had a gratitude meditation on, and as I'm sitting in the ice bath, I'm thinking about all the things that I'm grateful for. And I'm thanking God for it, and I'm thanking God for it. 5 minutes of that, and I came out and I felt like $1 million. Is that cool?
Yes.
So you can't control how you feel, but you can control what you do about it. Yeah. And one of the things is your physiology. Here's the second one, focus. And by the way, I did all of this. As you see, as I go through, you'll see. What you focus on determines how you feel. When I'm in that ice bath, what am I focusing on? The things that I'm grateful for, the things that I have, the things that I'm appreciative of. So when I focus on gratitude, what is the feeling that accompanies it? Being grateful, being happy, being appreciative. Then I did the next thing, which is the language and the meaning. The words and language you use, both internally, your self-talk, and externally, influence your emotions. So as I was in that bath, guess what I started doing as well? My affirmations. All I need is within me now, and I have the courage to see it through. I'm the best. I'm a winner. Da, 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 da. And I kept going off on those things. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You can do this at any time. You wake up in the morning, what do you usually say? Oh, I'm so tired. And what's the physiology? Oh, I'm so tired. I can't believe I gotta go to work today. Or worse yet, you go on your phone. Of course you feel like shit. What do you expect? But what if you woke up and said, glad I got another good day of sleep. Let's get to the day. Wouldn't that make the change in how you feel? Yes. And you see, in both of those examples, what were three things that were happening? Physiology, focus, and words. So in the first example, my physiology was low. The focus was on how much tiredness I have. And the words were, oh, I got to go to work. In the second example, what did I do? My physiology was great. I had a good posture. My focus was on another beautiful day. And the words were, let's get after it. And by the way, I did that automatically because I've trained myself to do this so often. Is this clear for everyone?
Yes.
Who can't do this? There's not a single person that can't do it. Anyone can do it, but in the moment when you're feeling it and you have all that emotion, it's hard to do. Yes or no?
Yes.
It's simple, it's easy to accomplish, but most of us resist it because we don't feel like it. And you know what creates that feeling and makes it even stronger? We keep finding reasons for it. Nothing is worse than finding reasons for your negative emotions. So when you're sad, what does everyone do when we're sad? Why am I sad? And then what do? Find all the great reasons that we have to be sad. And we make up some new ones. Right? We're like, I have all these ones that I know are true, and here are all the things that could happen. I'll never be successful. I'll never have love. I'll never do this. And then we make up all this shit as well. And we're like, good, now I have all these reasons, so I'm going to stay sad. Same with any other emotion. How come you don't do it for happiness? When you're happy, do you ever ask, why am I happy? No, you just enjoy it. Maybe that's what you should do. The next time you're happy. Why am I happy? Whoa, da, 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 da. And you'll be even happier. But we do this with negative emotions because we've been programmed to do it. Who programmed us? Everyone around us. Because when we're sad, what does everyone ask? Oh my God, why are you sad? And then we tell them our bullshit story. And then they get sad with us. Oh, that's so sad. I'm sad too. What a crazy world, hey? But then when we're happy, no one goes, why are you happy? They go, oh, good for you. Get out of here. You got to pay attention to stuff if you're going to change it. Are we okay so far?
Yes.
Here's the next thing that will make you more consistent. Personal development habits. Always remember this. Every discipline leads to another, and every lack of discipline leads to another. If you wake up in the morning on the time you wanted to wake up, what are the chances you're going to go to the gym? Much higher. What are the chances you're going to feel better about yourself? Much higher. So here's some of the stuff that I apply that helps me stay consistent with all these things longer. The first one, I turn off my tech 1 to 2 hours before bed every night. If you don't have a proper night routine, you will never have a proper morning routine. Without a proper morning routine, it's very hard to stay in those high states of mind that we talked about. If you're tired, if you're rushed, if you're chasing the day, how excited are you? Probably not as excited. How much belief do you have in yourself if you've hit the snooze button 4 times before you got up? Not so much. Because you know what you say every time you hit the snooze button? I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. But by the time you wake up, guess what your body goes? We're not ready. I'm being very serious right now. And when you wake up, what is the first thing you say? Oh, I'm waking up late again. Oh my God, I gotta rush to work. So what are you focused on? Negativity. How much desire do you have if you've just shat on yourself for the first hour of the morning? Not much, because you're sitting there and you talk about how undisciplined you are, how you let yourself down again. Do you think you're like, oh, I can't wait to achieve all this great success? So I'm telling you, it starts right from the morning. But the morning starts from the night before. Because how hard is it to wake up early if you go to bed late? Very hard. How hard is it to avoid going on your phone in the morning if you went to bed with your phone in your hand? So if you really want to change your life and you want to change it fast, turn off your technology, all of it. YouTube, phone, everything, 2 hours before bed. What do? I don't know. Whatever we did before all this stuff. Read a book. Talk to people you love. Hi, wife. Hi, husband. Hello, mother, father. Like human beings in your life that are there, that are not in your phone. Go write something, draw. That's something, remember when you used to draw on a paper with pencils and pens and stuff? God, like, how dependent have we become on technology where we don't know what to do with ourselves when we don't have it? Go for a walk. It's raining, take an umbrella. That's what it's for. Here's the next thing. In the morning, don't go on your phone for the first hour of the day. I do not go on my phone until I finish a majority of my personal development habits. Actually, going on my phone is a reward for finishing my personal development habits. So I wake up, I have my hot water with lime, I write my goals down, I read them to myself as if I achieved them, I do my journaling, I listen to the one invite video, I'll read 10, 20 pages of a book. Once I've done all those things, the reward for me is to go on my phone. And guess what? Now I'm going on my phone as a proactive person, not a reactive person. When you go on your phone first thing in the morning, are you proactive or reactive? And what are you reacting to? Who knows? It might be good stuff, it might be bad stuff, it might be a mix of both. Yes or no? So imagine you wake up a baby every morning with just a bunch of random shit. Good morning, everyone died. Hello, how are you? Come in. Good morning, some good stuff is happening. This is wonderful. Let's go and watch it. Do you think that's going to be a healthy baby? The moment they wake up, bah, all this information. That's what you're doing to yourself when the first thing you do is you wake up and you take off your phone like a drug addict. And you go to bed with this crack in your hand. And you know how I know? Because I did this for a very long time. And I was in the worst state of my mind when I was doing this. And as soon as I put my phone into another room 2 hours before bed and didn't touch it until the first hour, 2 hours of the day had gone, I'm telling you, my level of happiness went to a different level. My level of productivity went to a different. I felt like I'm in control of my life. Because now I choose when to go on my phone. And let me share something with you. Most apps on my phone don't have notifications. Because I want to choose when to go on Telegram and conduct business. I want to choose when to go to iMessage and talk to my friends. I want to choose when to go to my Instagram and look at notifications. My phone does not tell me when I check it. I tell it when I check it. So my Instagram does not pop notifications. I don't know what's happening on my Instagram until I choose to go on my Instagram. Does that make sense? Yeah. This is called being in control and being proactive. Are we okay so far?
Yes.
Gratitude list. I highly recommend you do this at night and in the morning. If you're not sure what to do once you turn off your phone 2 hours before bed, here are some of the things you can do. Do a gratitude list. Sit there and think about the things you're grateful for. If you live in this country, you have a lot of things to be grateful for. Yes or no? Okay. Here's another thing you should do. Write your goals down and read them with emotion and reflect on them. Reflect on your purpose. We all have a purpose, we just tend to forget about it. Do your affirmations. What are affirmations? They're positive beliefs and thoughts that you repeat to yourself with a congruent behavior. And we're going to talk about that in a second. Read or listen to books or audiobooks, not podcasts that talk about all these wars and all this bad stuff happening. That's not a good lullaby. But audiobooks or books. Preferably books, because when you're reading, it will maybe tire you out a little bit. The one new invite videos every morning while you get ready for the day. Every morning, me and Stora have the same. We get up, we have our headphones on, and we're listening to the one invite video. Today I was listening to one, and she's like, oh, I already listened to that one. I'm like, oh, nice. Accountability and to-do list. Why don't you sit down and do accountability? How did your day go? Was it a successful day? Were there some mistakes you made? Were there some good stuff you did? Why don't you recap your day? And then do a to-do list for the next day. Exercise, have a good diet, because proper sleep and rest will keep you from burnout. You know what's another reason why people are not consistent? Because they're burnt out. If you're burnt out, if you have chronic stress, it's hard to stay consistent with the behaviors you need to do. Meditation. Tony Robbins priming is one of the best guided meditations you could ever do. Story has been doing that every morning for the longest time, and the results she's been getting externally and internally are next level. Are we okay so far?
Yes.
Here's another easy thing you can do in order to be more consistent. Accept that you will feel resistance. Most of the time when you're going to do something that is not something you necessarily enjoy doing, you're going to feel some resistance. I feel resistance before I go to the ice bath. You probably feel resistance before you study the license. You probably feel resistance before you go approach someone. Yes or no?
Yes.
Accept that you will feel resistance. Accept that every successful person that you admire feels the same resistance. Cristiano Ronaldo feels the same resistance that all of you do before he works out. The difference is he's trained his mind to push through anyways, while others have trained their mind to run away anyways. Does that make sense? You say, well, Nima, how do I push through when I feel the resistance? When I don't want to do something, how do I push through? Leverage pain and pleasure. Sit there and go, if I don't study the license, I'll never be able to succeed in this business, and I'll never have and feel the pain that comes with that, and let that lead you to action. Don't you do that with your job? Why do you go to your work? Because you get up and go, oh, I really don't want to go to work. But if I don't, I'll get fired. Okay, I'm going to go to work.
Always.
You leverage pain, don't you?
Yes.
And sometimes you leverage pleasure. Hey, if I go to work on time and do a really good job, my boss will give me a promotion. Yes or no?
Yes.
Pain, pleasure. Leverage it. The same way you do for all your other behaviors. Here's another thing you should do in order to stay more consistent. Create an identity and brand that benefits you. You will always go to the level of your identity and brand. What is an identity and brand? It's what you believe is true about you. I'm going to share with you some of my beliefs about me. Here's the first one. My feelings are irrelevant in the face of my commitments. That's an identity and a brand that I have for myself. So when I don't feel like doing something, I go, my feelings are irrelevant. I've committed to doing this, I'm going to do it anyways. And I do it. And guess what always happens? The actions that I take from the commitments that I have end up changing the feelings that I have. Yeah. So many times, I don't feel like coming and doing this Wednesday session. Maybe I've had a bad day, maybe whatever's happened. I say, I'm someone who makes my feelings irrelevant in the face of my commitments. I come and do the session, after the session, I feel amazing. Here's another belief and brand that I have. I always keep the promises I make to myself and others. I believe that to be true about myself. So it makes it easy for me to keep my promises, even the hard ones. Here's another one. I am courageous and love facing my fears. So when I have a fear, guess what I do? I face it anyways. Failure is my way to success. The more I fail, the more I learn, and the faster I will succeed. That's another belief that I have. That's another brand that I have. So guess what? I can chase failure. I don't avoid it. And the more failure I chase, the more success I find. Weird, isn't it? Yep. Here's another one. I never give up. As long as I pursue my goals and dreams, I am successful. These are some of my brands. If somebody goes, what do you think Nima stands for? These are some of the stuff that I would hope they would say. Does that make sense? Yep. Here's my question. What is the brand you've given yourself? Some of you have given yourself very negative brands. It's time to change it. If I were you, I would write down all the positive brands that you believe you have about yourself. And then I would write down the negative ones. And then I would make a decision to no longer believe those negative things about you. Because if you believe you are lazy, you will act like a lazy person. If you believe you're inconsistent, you say, well, I am inconsistent. Always? Isn't there areas in your life or times in your life where you were consistent? I'm actually wondering, if you're someone who believes you have, let's say, no work ethic, you're a lazy person, has there ever been a time in your life where you've had good work ethic? Was there ever a project that you had to get done and you had no choice but to finish it? Was there ever an exam that you had to pass, so you studied really hard for it? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so you're not a lazy person, you're just choosing to be lazy. Those are two different things. Are we okay so far?
Yes.
I'm going to go 5 minutes overboard because this next one is really important. If you want to stay consistent, what do you have to beat, everyone? You have to beat procrastination. Procrastination is one of the main reasons why we don't stay consistent. Oh, we're going to study license in the next hour. And then the next day. And then the next week. And then before we know it, we're going to study the license the next year. Eventually the next decade. Procrastination is the major reason that we don't stay consistent. So how do you overcome procrastination? Here's a few tips. Well, let's actually talk about why we procrastinate. You procrastinate to avoid dealing with things that you perceive stressful. What is the key word in this sentence? Perceive. Again, it's the what? It's the story. If the story about studying the license for you is, oh my God, I'm not going to understand it. Oh my God, it's so boring. Oh my God, I can't believe I have to do this. What are your feelings towards studying the license? Stress, discouraged. Yes or no?
Yes.
Is that going to create a consistent person that studies the license every day?
No.
Okay, what if the perception, what if the story is, I love learning new things. I love studying this license because it's going to help me achieve my goals faster. I can't wait to study so I never have to study again. That's also a story. Because if I study today and tomorrow and a few more days, after 30 days, 6 days, I don't have to study ever again. Yes or no?
Yes.
Then what are the feelings with it? Excitement, because you're going to get rid of it soon. Joy, because you're going to be licensed and you can actually go after building your business and achieving your dreams. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, what are the chances you're going to stay consistent with it now? So this is the number one reason why people procrastinate, is because they perceive the thing that they're procrastinating to either be boring, stressful, or too difficult to the point that they can't handle it. The easiest way to change it is to change the perception on it. You go, well, it is boring. Have you ever made something that's boring fun?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes.
We all have creativity, don't we? Make it fun. Why don't you make studying more fun for yourself? Maybe you do it with someone else. Maybe you make a game out of it. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Here's the next thing you do to beat procrastination. The 3 P's. Pain, pleasure, perception. We talked about it already. If you associate more pain with not doing the task than with doing it, you will get it done. So even if you think the license is boring, what's worse than going over boredom? Being in a terrible financial position. Never getting licensed and seeing all your companions win and succeed and you get left behind. Yes or no? Yes. So the pain of that overcomes the boredom of the license very quickly, doesn't it? What's worse than not doing your taxes? I don't want to do my taxes. It's boring, stressful. You know what's worse? The CRA taking your house. Okay? So you go, oh shit, you know what? I hate that more than this. I'm just going to do my taxes. Right? Didn't most of us study for school so we can have a home to live in? Oh, I really don't want to study for my exam, but I do want to be staying at home and I don't want my parents to kick me out. So then you want to study anyways. Yes or no?
Yes.
So use the pain, pleasure, perception. Here's the next one. Start. The easiest way to beat procrastination is to start. Trust me, the hardest part is the first 5 minutes. The hardest part of anything is the first 5 to 15 minutes. The hardest part of your workout is the first 5 to 15 minutes. After you get through 10 minutes of your workout, you're loving it because the dopamine starts kicking in. You start being proud of yourself. Yes or no? Yes. The hardest part about an ice bath is the first 30 seconds. That's the hardest part. After 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, your body numbs out anyways and you don't even feel it. The hardest part of studying the license is the first 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, like, man, I've studied for 10 minutes anyways, let me just finish it off. Yes or no?
Yes.
So start. And here's my recommendation. Do the hardest things in the first part of the day. Because if you get rid of the hardest stuff, the easy stuff becomes easier. So if it's hard for you to go to the gym, my recommendation is go in the morning. Because if you can overcome that, the other stuff becomes easy. Yes or no?
Yes.
Here's the next one on the last one. Raise your confidence and self-esteem. See, if you believe in yourself more, if you believe you can overcome it, then you're not going to be stressed about it. If you believe you can get licensed, studying for the license is not as hard. If you believe you can succeed in the business, studying the license becomes a no-brainer. Let me ask you a question. Who here has ever had a problem with the license? I'm actually curious. You raise your hand if you want, don't if you don't want to. Okay. If I told you that as soon as you get licensed, we're going to pay you $5,000 a month, how much more motivation do you have to get licensed? For those of you that have been having a hard time to get licensed, if I guaranteed you $10,000 a month as soon as you get licensed, how much longer are you going to take? Most of you will get it on the system next week, wouldn't you? Because now you're like, dude, it's guaranteed. Why wouldn't I get licensed? Let me cash in on this. But if you're thinking to yourself, oh, I'm never going to succeed, then what's the point of studying the license? So that's why raising your self-esteem, confidence, and belief is so important. Tomorrow, I'm actually releasing a new YouTube video talking about how to raise your confidence. Highly recommend